Have you ever wondered about the city of gold? Does it really exist? Is it real? Has it ever been found? Was there an ancient, advanced civilization? What happened in the 1300s? Let's venture on this journey together and uncover the clues left behind to find the city of gold. To uncover that, we must cover our history. Clues. Aztec paintings, painted in 1524 by Hernando Cortés. The painting shows a beautiful, vast city well organized and thriving. Markets with an average of 60,000 people daily, and items that were made in Spain, France were also been sold at those markets. Then one day it ended. The King of Spain ordered the seizure of the Incan Empire because a conquistador said the Incans were weak and had tons of gold that were easy to steal. So the seizure began, and within 2 years, the city fell, and the people ran away. We have the gist of the story now. Let's rewind. We will go back around 7,500 years to the time of the first known ziggurat structure in Iran, and then move forward in time to view 9 of the ancient world's most beautiful, well-known structures, the pyramids, and when they had existed. It's important to note the locations of where each pyramid is located and the commonalities of the location with the other locations. Limestone and sandstone are common elements found in the structure of the pyramids, and some have overgrowth covering the structure. The Chincha Mausoleum is one example of overgrowth. While over the past 1,000 years, the structures of the pyramids have only declined, indicating something happened to the pyramid builders and civilization 1,000 years ago. What could that be? Okay, so we have got a timeline of 7,500 years of construction by man. Not aliens. Let's go to a time when people of the West thought the world was flat. 800 BC, or 2,800 years ago, they probably thought since dinosaurs the world was flat. Many Greek and ancient philosophers throughout the West believed the world to be flat because that's what they were told by their teachers, so they carried that custom. Homer is one of the earliest to believe and teach the flat earth theory, and his followers kept the teaching alive for hundreds of years after his death. But when the kings of the West found out the truth about the world, they invaded Africa and turned the peaceful African farmers into slaves, and are today still punishing Africans and the people for the deception of thousands of years of lies, which kept them in the little corner of the world for millennia. If they weren't such barbaric savages, they may have been told the truth earlier. So flat earth theory was a lie to keep the savages in the West in their corner of the world, and the rest of the world away from the violent people, kind of like a jail similar to Australia when the British were sending convicts to Australia from the year 1788 to 1868. If you think about it, it makes sense. What we know is that 5,000 years ago was the Bronze Age, and the biggest thing to come from that era is the invention of the wheel. Before this innovation, people had been carrying and dragging objects while dwelling in caves. Europeans never invented the wheel. It was shown to them by Sumerians, known today as Iraqis, and they copied it. While on the eastern side, they built pyramids. They were building megalithic structures on the east and staying in homes, growing vast gardens, learning how to read the land, stars, and water, eating plentiful food, medicine, learning philosophies of heaven, traveling around the oceans, being the creator within, and more. While on the western side, they were just beginning to expand in travel, housing, and agriculture, and life started to get easier. Then Iron Age began in the West, and the use of iron to make weapons on tools became available, while in the eastern side were already masters of welding metals. As we can see here with King Tutankhamun's items that were in his tomb, the craftsmanship of the artifacts are pristine even by today's standards. Note this was made at least 3,363 years ago. Along with the pre-Columbian items from Mesoamerican, you can see welding proof, and Egyptians have a history of 3,500 plus years of shaping metals. Here is some evidence of it. You can see a 3,000-year history of welding in Egypt. And here you can see the big gap in the use of metal. 1,000 years at least because they were melting gold in the Bronze Age when the wheel had just been utilized? Let's look at the size of the ancient world in the view of the West. In this area, there are only a small number of countries involved. This was the view of the whole world in the West since the age of dinosaurs. The main countries that come out from this area are Spain, France, England, and Italy, for these countries have shaped the world we have today. Even the founders of the United States of America come from these countries. We are going to stop at this map, the Hereford Map of Mundi, the most detailed and accepted map of the ancient world made on animal skin. It depicts the world as they knew it. Apart from the strange creatures, there is a lot of historical beliefs on this map. The resurrection of Jesus is on this map, entering the afterlife. The story of Moses, Noah's Ark is on it. The Tower of Babel and more are all detailed on this map. By turning the map on its side, we get a better match of the world. With Jesus in his position, we know Jesus said, "I am the way," or through Jesus, you can enter the promised land, because Jesus is standing at the gates of heaven on this map. What is behind Jesus? Okay, we will come back to that, but where is the city of gold? What we know is they built pyramids and must have built great ships equally. They understood the stars and knew about the world currents. This can be confirmed by the locations of the many pyramids throughout the Pacific. They navigated the seas, and we established they had the ability to travel oceans thousands of years before the West did. It was only when the West found a boat washed ashore that they copied it and began sailing. If our ancestors used this route, there must be more evidence. Here you go. Now, the city of gold is definitely on this side. We just need to dissect more clues. As for the pyramid builders, we can see they came from the east. The Polynesians, Africans, Indians, and Asians live there and have the ability to move mountains and build megalithic structures when working together. If it were not for the invasion from the West, the world could be more advanced in technology, medicine, science, agriculture, and philosophy, because as we have just seen, we are now at least 1,000 years behind, and we are trying our best to close that gap. Back to the Mappa Mundi, and because Jesus is standing at the gate of heaven, what is behind Jesus? Because a gate is an entry or exit. It is the Promised Land, the God Zone, and the Land of God. This is a series, and there will be more parts coming and more clues to lead us to the City of Gold. I hope you enjoyed the journey I took you through. Subscribe to stay updated and thumbs up if you enjoyed it, because in the next series, we are going to find the location of the Garden of Eden.